Hello, everyone. I'm Pamela Pitcher, and welcome to the second in a series of 4 podcasts to help you develop flexibility of perspective to awaken to the best you. Having the ability to flex your perspective is important because whomever is the most flexible wins. In other words, the person with the most flexibility of perspective controls the system because they'll have more choices and therefore more influence. Put simply, open-mindedness provides choices and closed-mindedness doesn't. And life is about choices, isn't it? Your choices affect the quality of your life and all of those around you. We can either create our lives or react to what is happening around us or indeed in our mind. Flexing our perspective provides us with the insight as to where to place our focus. Look around you and seek out the choice to achieve your optimum positive result, because perspective can change your life dramatically. Last time we learned that we think what we think based on our socialization and experiences, learned from our family history, culture, education, where we were born, and so on. Key points being, nobody else in the world thinks the way that you do, and being right doesn't count because you may be right from your perspective, but not one necessarily shared with anyone else. Just because you grew up in a certain way doesn't mean you cannot change. You are not your history. From my point of view, I was raised in an exceptionally dysfunctional family. My grandmother immigrated to Vancouver from Finland in 1928 at the age of 18. I think of her as very brave for doing that. She escaped a hard life in Finland and unfortunately started a new one when she became pregnant with my mom out of wedlock shortly after her arrival in Canada. My mom used to say I was born a bastard. I'm so ashamed of it. I just hate my mother for this. The stigma of being a bastard altered her perception of herself for her entire life. Mom never felt worthy. Grandma lived a hard life, first working as a chambermaid in a cockroach-infested hotel in the poor area of Vancouver, outside of Chinatown, then working as a cook in a logging camp in northern British Columbia. She never married my grandfather, and she raised my mom as a single woman in the 1930s, pretty much unheard of at the time. She had Mom work in the hotel before and after school and often left her alone when she went on a toot. A toot was my mom's term for Grandma going off and getting drunk and missing in action for a few days. Yep, Grandma had become an alcoholic and my mother suffered for it. Grandma eventually married a lumberjack who was also an immigrant from Finland, an alcoholic. They bought a house together and Mom was tasked with keeping it clean and tending to the garden in addition to her schoolwork. They hosted a lot of parties, and the house was often overrun with lumberjacks and their partners, and my mom had to clean up after them. My mom, like her mother, had a hard life. She never felt really loved by my grandmother and didn't know her own father until much later in life when he became sober and married a good Christian woman. Mom eventually escaped her mother's abuse and joined the Royal Canadian Air Force to start afresh. And that's where she met my father. She got pregnant shortly after they began dating. They got married and she had more children, and I'm the fourth of 4 kids. She told me she had children to make up for the lonely life she had as a single child. She never really wanted children, I don't think. This was something that she thought she should do, not necessarily something she wanted to do. My father died when I was 5, leaving Mom to raise 4 children on her own. This became her destiny, when really she yearned to be an actress and a singer. After my dad died, Mom made bad choices like her mother before her. She chose bad men and she too became an alcoholic. She repeated the pattern of a hard life, escaping to a different land, but not really, because no matter where you are, there you are, to an unplanned pregnancy, to abusive man and alcohol. I remember when I was a little girl and Grandma came to visit. She was so drunk she couldn't find the toilet. We found her urinating in a shoe by the front door of the living room. Mom hated her even more that day. Mom was always in so much pain, living in her past, not knowing what to do with her present. I spent much of my time thinking about how to make Mum happy. One day when I was about 9, I thought about me. I had a profound realization, and one that I'm enormously grateful for. I had the thought, I'm going to have a better life than my mom or grandma. I'm going to have a better life. I'm not going to have the life that they've shown me. I am going to have a good life. Over time, that thought became an empowering belief, and that belief became a conviction and changed the trajectory of my life forever. I could have continued the family pattern of the females before me, but I didn't want to. With that belief, I began to ask myself, how can I have a good life? My choice was how, not do I deserve it, not I can never escape it, not this is the cards I've been dealt. My choice was to find out how. I saw a future and searched for the steps I needed to take to get there. Now, the brain can't focus on both positive and negative experiences at the same time. If you're feeling pain, do something that gives you pleasure, and your pain will decrease. If you can catch yourself slipping into thoughts of self-pity, doing something pleasurable will pick you up. Begin to view challenges as opportunities to flex your perspective and make choices that will lead to a growth mindset. An open mind opens doors. Research in neuroplasticity has discovered that the brain isn't fixed, and so your mind needn't be either. Sometimes we all need a little help to change our state of mind when not feeling our best. As I said before, and as you know, everyone is different. My happy tools are things like going for a hike. There's something about being outside in the fresh air that sets my mind free. Or listening to my favorite music, and preferably to music that gets me dancing. Or cooking up a storm of Italian food. The combination of garlic, parmigiana, and basil provides tastes and smells that just make me smile. Setting aside some dreaming time to imagine the future that you want, ask yourself, what can you do today to realize your amazing future in all your splendor, enjoying all aspects of life, knowing that if you didn't, nothing would change? Thank you for listening. I look forward to your joining me for our next podcast as we continue our journey of flexing our perspective to awaken to the best you. Please remember to subscribe and share across social media. I'd really appreciate that. And I'd also love to see your thoughts. So please send your feedback my way so I know how to help you the most. Thank you again. Ciao for now.